Welcome back to the show. Now we're getting to the second half of our NFL free agency topics. And first off, I want to start off with Justin Fields going to the Jets. Obviously that's a trade, not a trade, a signing. I want to say because people are killing me for saying trade or say, well, he didn't get traded. Okay, I get it. He didn't get traded. He got signed. But I still think even though he's teamed up with the old teammate in Garrett Wilson, we still got to see if Justin Fields can actually be a effective thrower in the league. We know he can be a great runner, but Chicago did not implement and utilize him the way they should have. That was evident for so many years that the few years that he was there that he was not being utilized the way he should have. So you go to the Jets, you get these weapons. Obviously, it's interesting because they have a history of just signal callers not being good. Like Geno Smith, he wasn't effective. He was traded from the Seahawks to the Raiders, obviously, and then you have just injury after injury. Aaron Rodgers, he gets injured the first play of the second or third play, the first time he's there with the Jets, his first regular season with them, and it's just a slew of just bad seasons with quarterbacks. And I think Justin Fields, I'm not saying he's in a cursed environment, but he's in an environment that doesn't have a great history, recent history of quarterbacks doing well. So I'm iffy on it. I'm really just not that big a fan of it. I personally think that Fields has potential, Justin Fields has potential, but he has to become a better thrower. Um, Josh Allen going to get a record 250 million guaranteed deal this past March 9th with the Bills. Obviously, it was big news. 6 years, 330 million contract through the 2030 season, includes 250 million guaranteed. It's the largest total guaranteed contract to the NFL, any NFL player, surpassing the previous mark of quarterback Deshaun Watson from the Cleveland Browns received 230 million guaranteed. And I think they want to lock up Josh Allen long term. Obviously, they want to make sure that he's their guy, which is very smart. He's a really good quarterback. Obviously, he's come up short time and time again, but it's not on just Allen. I think many times we get it wrong. We'll say like, "Oh, Allen didn't do this. He didn't." Stephon Diggs, he's the one who didn't make that catch against Kansas City last year. He's the one who didn't do that, not Josh Allen. Um, Josh Allen has extended plays. He's tried to do things, but his players have come up short. His receivers have come up short against Kansas City many times. And I think he's still a dynamic quarterback. He won MVP this year. I think he can do great. I think he can do absolutely great things. That is not there's no doubt in my mind that Josh Allen can't be just phenomenal. I think when we look at his trajectory, it's more so can he win the big game? And that's what he hasn't done yet. He hasn't won the big game. Um, and I think that's what Buffalo knows that like, look, even though he hasn't won the big game, we don't want another guy. We want him to be around for a long time with us. In 6 years, that's significant. It's going to be his prime years, and I think Buffalo made a great pick in getting him. Another pick is the Seahawks signing former Cowboys pass rusher DeMarcus Lawrence for a 3-year contract worth up to 42 million with with 18 million guaranteed. Ian Rappaport from NFL Network, Tom Pelissero, and Mike Garafolo Garofolo reported this on Monday. Lawrence obviously spent, his first seasons with Dallas, and I mean, it's an interesting signing because the Seahawks have been obviously very active. Metcalf, he gets traded, and they've been kind of cleaning house. But you get an effective pass rusher into Marcus Lawrence. It's it's very interesting because he's a guy who's just so active, can make big plays. Seattle is kind of going in a downward spiral in a sense. I think they're rebuilding. Um, but Dallas is also they have a new coach. They got Brian Schottenheimer. They got somebody who's like very odd in terms of a new Cowboy signing. It's not somebody you would expect. And I think that's the thing with Dallas right now. Both teams are in very a transitional era. Something that is um not even not even symptomatic of who they are, not going after the big coach. And I think with Bill Belichick, they would have been a bit of a compromise because Jerry Jones wouldn't have had the same power he wanted. He would still have had power, but it's like Belichick, he's going to run the show. And this is a big splash for the Seahawks getting a guy like DeMarcus Lawrence. I think like that's a really good pass rusher to pick up, very good pass rusher. So I think from the Seahawks perspective. They knew what they were doing in terms of that. But overall in free agency, it's shaping up to be obviously one because we have trades for Joe Tooney, Jonah Jackson, signing of Drew Adalman, kind of that helping um Caleb Williams for his developing years, obviously, and him to actually get a big leap in year two. Because Caleb Williams, he was taking a pounding, an absolute pounding his first season. He was sacked a league high 68 times a rookie, 16 more than the next closest quarterback, CJ Stroud. And it's the gifting is there, but also the protection is just gonna hurt him. It's gonna significantly hurt him. And I think that's something that's shaping up to be very concerning. And looking at like the NFL landscape for these trades, you know, I'm surprised the Steelers made a decision that they made in terms of letting Fields walk. Obviously Russell Wilson is in the later stage of his career, but I feel as though the Steelers are cooked. I feel as though they really did themselves in terms of letting Fields go because it's just like, how are you developing the future? Wilson is he's kind of on the downward spiral of his career. This isn't the same guy. This is no longer the same Russell Wilson who had that same ball placement when he made big throws, and that's highly concerning to me. It's very concerning, and I do want to. The last team I want to get to is the Commanders because they've definitely are kind of in that win now mode in terms of what they want to do. They're bolstering their offense. It was ranked seventh in yards, fifth in scoring last season. You're trading for, Laramie Tunsil, get Debo Samuel from the 49ers. And Tunsil's like he's one of the best left tackles in the NFL. Like they're they're really bolstering that team and they know what they're doing. They're like, we have a stud in Jaden Daniels who had one of the best rookie seasons ever. I'm still not gonna put it over Patrick Mahomes' first season when he had 50 touchdowns. That's still otherworldly. But the fact that he's able to do that his first season, what Jaden Daniels did, leading his team to an NFC championship, and I honestly didn't play that bad against Philadelphia. Philadelphia, like they were cooking, but his receivers and the turnovers they were making, and the way that that defense was just getting cooked, and the offense was making mistakes that wasn't his fault, not all his fault. That was highly impressive, highly impressive. So I would say that Jaden Daniels and the Commanders, I mean, watch out for them. It's very very scary what happening for them going forward, and they're the team that can be the threat to Philadelphia, not Dallas, not Dak Prescott in Dallas, saying like, oh, we're this close. No, not at all. It's Washington and Philly. Um, Chris Godwin, he signed a 3-year, 66 million deal with the Tampa Bay. Um, and it's it's interesting because the last one I would say that surprised me is the Eagles trading CJ Gardner to the Texans. He's a veteran type of safety. Played a really pivotal role in the Eagles Super Bowl season. Recorded a team high 6 interceptions, and it's it's one that kind of goes against the grain of Philly just kind of keeping that veteran leadership, which I think is so important. It's so integral to have to that veteran leadership. And many times when you don't have that, sometimes you can get into a bit of a lackadaisical type of mood because you have that Super Bowl hangover. Not saying that they will have that, but I think that was a surprising kind of eye raising type of moment. But lastly, I want to say this, Cooper Kupp, wherever he goes, I think it's going to be they're going to get a stud. They're going to get a guy who's very, very gifted. Obviously, injuries, age, it's affected him. It's clearly affected him. I was watching Matthew Stafford on the Kelsey Brothers New Heights podcast, and just hearing how detailed Cooper Kupp is, and 2021 was such a special year for them. We don't know if we're going to see that Cooper Kupp again. I don't personally don't think we're going to see that level of production from him again because he really was just carving teams up and he was healthier and he was younger. But receivers go through injuries. It's brutal. And he's going through it too. And I would really like to see him in Chicago. I think Chicago would be a tough team for him to go to, especially if Caleb Williams is getting more help, more protection. He can really blossom in year two. And I think that's I'm trying to see if there is anything, as listeners, I do not want to miss out on anything that you guys will say that I missed out on, because I know you guys will cook me if I miss something wrong. But I want to actually make sure I cover everything possible for this episode and really cover my ground here. So we've got So yeah, last thing I can't forget to mention. First of all, Cooper Cup, not Cooper Cup, Cooper Flag. Sorry, I'm getting the Coopers mix. You guys can't blame me for that. Cooper, Coop. It's gonna get mixed. I mean that was bound to happen at some point. Such a big Cooper Cup fan that I was gonna get him mixed up with my Dookie Cooper Flag, but he obviously Cooper Flag. He did have an injury today in the ACC tournament against Georgia. Believe it was Georgia Tech, and they did not look that good. I was getting a haircut, and my barber, I was so sick. I was like, man, this is not good. Like he said, bro, that you guys are not gonna blow out Georgia Tech. I was like, yeah, we got Georgia Tech, man. Like, but easy money, but they did win by 8. Cooper Cooper Flag gets has an injury. I believe it's an ankle sprain, and it's not anything that looks too significant, but he'll probably sit out until the beginning of the tournament, which he clearly needs to. There's no need to risk anything. He's too valuable, and especially for March Madness, we need him fully healthy. So I'm saying we like this is my team, but I'm a Duke fan. If you don't know that is my team. That's the team I root for significantly. But it's just it's tough because you know injuries can happen at any point, especially in March. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on because that's the number one guy in college basketball. Whatever happens to him is going to keep a lot of teams holding their breath. And finally, Aaron Rodgers, I don't know where he's going to go. I just don't know where he's going to go. I don't know what team really can say, oh yeah, we need Aaron Rodgers because this is not the same Aaron Rodgers. He's 41, but it does not have the same value, does not have the same moxie that he once had. Can still put up numbers, but it's not going to be Aaron Rodgers, who was like possibly pole vaulting Green Bay to a second Super Bowl. But yeah, I think it's the latter stages. He's no longer the same guy, and it just happens with age, happens with father time. Um, so I think that's all on the deck for tonight. I'm your host, Wellington Burns. We have some guests coming up, some interviews coming up, some life lessons coming up. So we got some more content, and obviously follow Wellington's Y Zone. The new podcast will be coming soon, but check out the Lincoln's Wise on videos. I'm pumping them out, trying to do it consistently on TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all the nine, whole nine. And yeah, I'm your host, Wellington Burns. This has been Full Scope. See you later.